My name is Erika Twani, and I'm the CEO of Learning One-to-One, and author of Becoming Einstein's Teacher. I believe every child is a genius. In this video, we're going to talk about creative teaching and learning methods.
In recent decades, there has been significant progress in the quest to find the most effective way to enable learning. For example, we experienced the introduction of personalized learning, competency-based learning, project-based learning, autonomous learning, social-emotional learning, and other models. It's a lot to keep track of. All these concepts have merit in getting us closer to fulfilling the promise of enabling meaningful results for our students. But they don't give us the full picture. The question is, how do you know if what you are doing works for your students? You will learn about this when I introduce you to the relational learning framework. But first, here are the conclusions of our research. Number one, students are unique and learn differently from one another. Instead of the teacher being responsible for customizing students' learning experiences, we found that to enable lifelong learning, students themselves must develop this skill. They must personalize their own learning. Number two, cognitive and social-emotional skills are equally important and deserve the same level of attention. Therefore, we must enable students to practice both throughout the school years. And number three, student choice in how and what they learn helps them develop agency, the capacity to act independently and make choices. And that is crucial to succeed in this ever-changing and unpredictable world. Are you ready to have that kind of confidence with your teaching abilities in just 6 steps? Let's get started. Step 1, goal setting and planning. The very first step of the relational learning framework is adequate goal setting and planning. Students learn to be specific when setting their goals, to pick achievable and measurable metrics, and plan precise tasks to reach each goal. Then, students practice over and over again, self-observing how they're performing and correcting their course whenever necessary, with the support of educators. Step 2, explore. This step is so simple and yet so powerful, and is one of the most significant differences between the average teacher and the effective teacher. Encouraging students to explore helps them connect previous knowledge to the new knowledge and accelerates learning considerably. It is how Marco understood the digestive system when he remembered his previous knowledge about the use of gas in a car. Marco will never forget what he learned about the digestive system because he loves cars. In this step, your students research new information about the unit of study through a wide variety of resources. They can include printed books and reports, audiobooks, videos, interviews, or rap. The more aligned the resources are with students' interests, the more motivated they will be to research. Researching new information leads to the development of a personal knowledge base that can then be reflected in an organizational grid or a concept map that students create. Research is so basic and at the same time so powerful. Step 4, practice. Practice is the process of internalizing what has been learned. In this step, you activate the student's capacity to transform or improve their prior knowledge identified in the second step. This stage includes planned activities by you or suggested by learners as they gain learning autonomy. Activities consist of exercises, games, group projects, essays, video production, songwriting, and so on. This is where relational learning gets really fun. In traditional education, students are expected to retain information after only being exposed to it in lectures or textbooks. In this case, the possibility of the learner's brain releasing the dopamine and serotonin that will make learning stick is close to zero. This is because students are unable to identify the meaning and value of the content for them. Step 5, relate. In this step, students realize the real purpose and meaning of the unit by relating what they have learned to their own lives through specific activities and reflection. This is what we've been talking about all along, right? You can repeat thousands of times your own definition of the purpose or why learners have to learn this or that, and they may remember the information for a test. However, unless learners identify the use by themselves, they will simply not learn. The neural connections will be just too weak. When we enable students to organize knowledge in a way that allows them to see a practical application in their lives, the knowledge becomes useful and brings them personal value. Step 6, metacognition. Metacognition is the ability to assess one's reasoning and actions and use the outcome to improve oneself. With practice, metacognition becomes a powerful tool of self-awareness and self-improvement, allowing the individual to find meaning in life. Continuous self-improvement creates inner peace and therefore a better quality of life. Children can learn to self-assess while in a safe school environment. By allowing learners to choose a path and then experience the consequences of their choices, they will become aware of how decisions impact their reality. This practice will prepare learners to avoid a lifetime of regrets as they practice self-awareness from an early age to help them design their future. Now, as I said earlier, my organization works with thousands of teachers every year. We've had the opportunity to witness firsthand some outstanding success stories of average teachers who have gone from struggling to make even one student succeed to making significant progress with all of their students. And we've also seen what holds others back from ever achieving the level of success they want for learners. I want to make sure you are aware of these traps so you can avoid getting stuck. The first misconception is to let your students plan and then explore their previous knowledge and research for the first time and then conclude that they're incapable of doing it, either because they're too young or because you see no effort on their part. You've got to remind yourself that this is something new for them, and with practice, the process will become easy for them. The younger they learn the steps, the better. Remember when you learned to ride a bike? This is the same concept. So allow your students to practice these skills every day and you will see results in time. Keep in mind that students are different and some will learn faster than others, but all of them are capable of doing it. Here's a second misconception. You can only work with a small number of students to be able to give attention to each of them. Well, this is true if you insist on using the same traditional practices of teaching to the class. You may start working as a group until they understand how each step works, and then you'll see them taking the initiative to follow the steps by themselves. You'll be surprised to see your role shifting from teaching to coaching on its own. The next trap is the idea of limited time. Let's say your class is 50 minutes long and you have to deliver specific content in that time frame. This is a continuation of the second misconception. Remember the first time you cooked a meal? It was overwhelming to measure the amount of this and that ingredient and to make sure nothing was burning while triple checking the recipe. Then, after practicing for a while, you can now cook without even thinking about it. Your students will experience the same thing. After they practice planning, exploring previous knowledge, and researching over and over, eventually they will not even need to consult with you. What you will experience as a teacher, on the other hand, is your students' agency developing right there. In time, you'll get to do more in 50 minutes than you ever imagined. Just to give you an idea, 37% of students engaged in relational learning finish one full grade in 7 months. Educators find that they need to increase content and activities because students learn so fast. There's a fourth misconception. Students have difficulty in your subject and can't make any decisions themselves. Besides, this is so outside of your comfort zone. The truth is, this may be outside of your comfort zone, but let me reaffirm that you are capable of doing it. We've seen it happen with so many teachers. And as for students having difficulty in your subject, what we have found is that because of learning gaps throughout the years, students are uninterested in exploring something they haven't grasped entirely or have been told they're not good at it. Remember, no one is born not liking math or social studies or anything else. They learn not to like it because they have not yet connected the value and meaning to their lives. Each step of the relational learning framework will get your students closer to seeing value in what they're learning. Your frustrations will be long gone when learners become fully engaged with your subject. Not long ago, Mrs. Turner shared her son Brian's experience with me. Brian was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia when he was in kindergarten. Imagine that for a mother. We partnered with his school when he was in second grade. Back then, Mrs. Turner feared that his diagnosis would affect his future, especially if he couldn't learn to read and write. She had to chase him down every day to do his homework. She was trying hard to make the boy learn something. The 6 steps of the relational learning framework changed him completely. Now he can study on his own, and he's more concentrated on his learning and progress. Brian has improved so much because he's now in charge of his learning, and his teachers respect his unique learning pace. He even participated in a reading competition where he was one of the top readers. It is a huge effort for him, and he loves the challenge. What would become of Brian's life if his teachers were unable to tap into his potential? Brian was lucky to attend his school. Yet, so many people in this world right now are living and dying with their potential completely unrealized. Brian understands now that the power of his success is in his hands. He no longer believes he has limitations to learn. The genius of your students is waiting to be ignited. It starts with your belief that learners have what it takes, a brain. With that brain, they can reach 100% of their potential. And learning is what everyone needs to continually make good choices, exhibit good behaviors, and experience healthy emotions. When educators apply relational learning systematically, their students are better prepared for tests. They remember content more easily because it is associated with areas of their lives. Plus, they now have a way to practice what they learned and the innate drive to improve. If they do not recall certain content, it is easy to go back to their notes and review the org grids or concept maps which summarize what they have learned. As Adrienne, a school principal, said, relational learning is the answer for a high-quality public education because it prepares students for life. The market today prioritizes competencies over content. With relational learning, students learn and practice competencies while studying the required content. As you can see, the relational learning framework is the practical application of personalized learning, project-based learning, competency-based learning, and autonomous learning simplified in just 6 steps. Throughout the 6-step relational learning framework, aligned with how the brain works, students are developing 21st century skills for life.
If you want to learn more, make sure you read my book, Becoming Einstein's Teacher, watch other videos, subscribe, like this video, share it, and comment. I'll see you in the next video.